Welcome, players and pimps, hustlers and hoes, to an all-new episode of Yeah, I've Played. We are talking about a game that came out nearly 20 years ago now.
Quite a while. When 2005 it came out? Or
No, I guess not that near.
no? When did it come out?
It came out 2007.
Oh, okay.
And don't say the name yet. I want people to guess.
Okay, but first, let's tell them our names.
I'm Matt Hall.
I'm Jordan Hill.
Today we're discussing a game that came out on October 10th of 2007. It's Portal.
Oh, I thought you were going to give more hints.
No.
I didn't realize you were going to.
Portal. It was originally released in a bundle called
The Orange Box, baby.
I bought that.
I had that for I think the original. No, it must have been the Xbox 360.
I had it on PC.
I had mine for the 360. I have it on PC now too. It's in my Steam library and stuff. I've probably purchased the Orange Box 2 or 3 times.
I bought the Orange Box when it came out on PC. I think I got my first PC around 2005 or 6. My first personal computer.
Oh.
And I was a Half-Life fan. I was big into FPS games in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Like Wolfenstein, Doom. These are games you probably never heard of.
They're pretty obscure titles.
Hexen, Heretic. I played the hell out of those. I never played Quake. I still have never played Quake.
No?
I've never played Quake even once.
Quake's great from what I hear. I played Quake Wars a bit on the PC, but that was it. And that's more of a top-down RTS.
Played a shitload of Turok and Duke Nukem
Turok
3D.
is great. Can't forget GoldenEye.
Played so much GoldenEye.
I didn't play a ton of FPSs as a kid. Probably because I was a bit younger than you during that era. The N64 era of FPSs, you know what I mean? And then the early PC FPSs.
Yeah, I had a cousin who was a big PC gamer, and he got me into Wolfenstein, and I went from there.
Lucky?
Man, Half-Life was... I had the Half-Life Uplink demo. I think it's called Half-Life Uplink.
Okay.
It's like a standalone episode of Half-Life. It's sort of like a vertical slice of the game, but it's also made from cut content.
Oh, okay.
And
from
I think
the
it was
original
just reinstated into Half-Life for the 25th anniversary.
Oh, okay, sick.
So you can play it again now, I think.
Hell yeah.
But I mean, even just playing through the opening training mission of Half-Life, where you're going through the obstacle course for the first time with the tutorial, I was just like, this is so cool. I know it's been said 1,000 times. People have talked about Half-Life for ages now. I mean, we're not even talking about Half-Life right now, but it was just Half-Life was so cool. I couldn't believe how advanced it felt. And then when I saw the Orange Box at a store one day, I was like,
there's another one?
What? Because it was the Orange Box had Half-Life 2, Episode 1, and it also came with
Team Fortress 2.
Yep.
And Portal. Did it come with Episode 2 of Half-Life 2 as well?
It did.
Okay,
Yep.
it's I remember. So I had a similar experience the first time I started when I got the Orange Box, because it was a Christmas gift from a sister's boyfriend at the time. So my sister's 6 years older than me. So they were 20. I think I was 13 or 14. And I got that for Christmas. And Half-Life 2 was the first game that I played on there. And I remember I remember playing it for a week straight. I played through both games. And then eventually got into Portal. Never played Team Fortress 2 at all.
Well, I guess that's what I'm getting at is I've never beaten Half-Life.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I've gotten to the end, but I've never finished it. I've played up until around the end more times than I can count. I don't know. I usually just I'll beat it later.
I'll get back to it.
Recently, I tried to do a co-op run on Half-Life.
What are you talking about? That went great.
On stream, we tried to do co-op Half-Life.
Yeah, we tried to do this Sven co-op.
It did not feel good.
No, it
was
feel
so
good.
Confusing.
We kept we got soft locked in a couple spots, if I remember right, just by being kind of idiots, kind of not. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And you move so fucking fast.
Yeah,
in old FPS games.
Yeah, they're
wild. Not designed for co-op. Where I'm just I'm over here.
Yeah, you're
I'm over here now. But I just remember seeing the orange box and being like, what? That's not even a crazy price for like 5 games.
Oh my God,
whatever.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I got it on the spot. I think my mom was like, all right, yeah, whatever. I mean, I was working. I must have bought it myself. I don't know.
Well, because I was probably I was 13 when Orange Box dropped.
Yeah.
And you're what, 6 years older than me?
If I was born in 88, I was 19.
You're 6 years.
I was
you're
19.
Yeah, you were 19 when this.
I must have bought it for myself.
Yeah, you
then.
had to have. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mom, please. Mom, please.
Listen, you're 19. You better be buying your own PC games, unless it's a little gift.
Unless if it's a gift, that's fine. But like if it's just like March and you want a video game, you better buy it for yourself.
Anyway, my point that I'm getting at in this very long-winded way was huge fan of Valve and what they were doing, and I did not play Portal at all. Even though I owned it, I didn't even. I may have booted it up once.
This might be one of the first games we've covered that I've played before you.
Yeah, and I remember maybe I was seeing a girl a number of years ago who was like, had like an Xbox or something, and she was like, "Oh, have you played Portal?" I was like, "No." It's like I played like maybe like the first 2 rooms. I was like, okay." And I just like I don't know. I put it down.
I don't want this girl game.
Yeah, I was like, do you have Contra? Do you have Contra Hardcore? So this was my first time playing this game, even though it came out in 2007, and I owned it in 2007.
You've had it nearly 18 years.
Yeah, and, it was in my Steam library, of course. I think like it's mandatory that if you have a Steam account for more than a year, you get every Valve game.
Yeah, I think they just put them in there. Say, hey, you've hit a year. Congratulations. Here's games you might not play.
But you know. There's not normally the games we cover here have a bit more narrative, and so this one's a little light, but I wanted to bring up something that this game was developed by students who were at the DigiPen Institute of Technology. They worked on a game called Narbacular
I've heard it's pronounced
Narbacular Drop.
And I've heard that they named it that because when you Googled Narbacular, nothing else would come up.
SEO, search engine optimization.
Oh, and they formed like their own little development team that was called like I think
it was called like the Cool Guys.
It was something. It was Monkey something Studios. Yeah.
It was like a student project that someone at Valve saw, and they're like, "That's a game."
Yeah, that's a pretty cool game.
So the game is on the DigiPen website. So the university has all these like student project games on there, which are they're pretty cool to see.
Yeah, they're obviously rough around the edges. You know what I mean? These are people's literal like first games. Some, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
first like real games.
These are it's like watching a student film. You're like, all right, I
get it.
I can suspend my belief a little bit to think this is good. No, but
I can pretend this is better than it is.
I don't know if anything did anything like this, making portals on command like that. So we both played a bit of this. I could not get super far. I found it very frustrating.
No,
it's not a very long game.
I think I got 2 to maybe 3 levels into it. I think I got to maybe the 3rd level.
Yeah, me too.
Which is one with like the rolling. You got to like get the fucking balls to fall into the hole. Big boulders.
Yeah,
big Indiana Jones boulders.
The game looks like an indie N64 game.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember any indie games from the early to mid 2000s looking like N64 games. That was kind of cool.
Not at all. This one, it was very reminiscent of like you were saying earlier, like an early PC game. Like it reminded me a little bit in the certain like walled areas, that old screensaver that used to be on like Windows 98, where it's just taking you through the maze. Yeah, it reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah, the character design reminded me of like Rare. Like
yeah,
Rare,
very
like
much. The little goblins running around. Yeah, very much.
But we're showing footage of the game here. It's a third person.
Yep.
Adventure game, but it's a puzzle game.
Yeah. It's a pretty basic puzzle game, but it's such a cool mechanic that, like you said, it had really never been done before. Anytime I imagine that you were walking through like a portal or a gate, like a Stargate style thing in another game, I imagine it was just taking you into like the next room effectively.
Yeah, I've never seen prior to this one where you could make them on command.
Yeah.
And they work.
Seamlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was cool as hell, I thought.
So basically, a number of the development team members, not I don't think everybody, but a bunch of people who worked on this game were hired by Valve, and they were given time to develop this. And over time, they're like, all right, we got something, but it's really nothing.
Yeah.
It's really like we have a fun mechanic, and we don't have like a game.
Yeah, from what I heard, they brought the demo to... They'd released a bunch of builds of this, and they like after they had graduated, they kept working on it because it got a pretty solid response online from people in like different, you know what I mean, forums where they were sharing it. And inevitably, like you said, somebody from Valve saw it and was like, "Oh, Gabe Newell has to see this." And so they brought the development team in, and they played a demo for Gabe Newell, and then the legend goes that before the demo was over, he ended the demo and hired the people that were there to come into Valve.
Yeah,
and then
he said, I can't do it.
Oh no,
I want to do a Trump. I want to do a, yeah, you're hired. I can't do a Trump voice.
Mine's not very. You're hired. I don't know. It's not very good. I still love.
They had the biggest portals I've ever seen.
These portals, they were incredible. Greatest portals you've ever seen. You're hired. I said before the demo was done. I said you're hired.
They walked in wearing the biggest portal guns.
One of my favorite, not to get off on a tangent, clips from The Apprentice is, have you seen the clip with Gilbert Gottfried? Where Donald Trump is like, "You did a great job, Gilbert. Very good. You really proved yourself today. I'm very proud of you, Gilbert." And Gilbert just goes, "Thank you, mein Führer." Like, totally stone face. "Thank you, mein Führer." Like, and you're like,
My still one of my favorite
destroyed me.
Trump moments of all time. Not to get political, because this has nothing to do with my political beliefs.
No, not at all.
This is very far from anything I believe politically.
The man.
But just looking at the political circus on TV sometimes, when he said Biden walked in wearing the biggest mask I've ever seen, I thought that was one of the funniest lines I've ever heard anyone say.
He is kind of like a stand-up comedian a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he'd do pretty well.
I understand why people are, horrified by some of his policies and some of the behavior he normalized. It was kind of like, oh, if this guy can be mean, I can be mean. Yeah, and then it's like, I get all that.
Yes.
So don't get on me, but goddamn, if biggest mask I've ever seen is not one of the funniest fucking things I've ever heard.
If "I'm gonna come" isn't the funniest. That's not the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm gonna come.
Yes, that's also great. I don't even know what the context of that one is.
No, I don't know.
We got to match that up with Ashley. "Don't come" from the original Resident Evil 4. They took that line out of the remake.
"Don't come."
I was waiting for her to say "don't come" in the remake. I got it.
There's also
the new Ashley's so hot. I need her to give me a little fucking JOI.
There's also no heat-seeking missile references in the remake either.
I think they were. I think that the president equipped his daughter with ballistics. Yeah,
I think.
I think the line is, "I see the president gave his daughter some frontal torpedoes."
Yes, I think
that's not it. It's ballistics.
It is ballistics.
It should be frontal torpedo.
Frontal torpedoes would be better.
That's not my joke. That's from I think that's a Hollywood Handbook joke. Calling boobs frontal torpedoes. So the gist of how this came together was, I think it was Mark Laidlaw, right? Yeah, who's the writer of Half-Life.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He was brought in to try to retroactively fit Portal into the Valve universe, into the Half-Life universe.
Yeah.
And, I read, there's a brief quote on Wikipedia, and I looked a little deeper into it and saw some other interviews and stuff. So these are the quotes that are on Wikipedia. Okay. Quote, "It made both universes feel smaller, and I just had to react as gracefully as I could to the fact that it was going there without me. It didn't make any sense except from a resource-restricted point of view." Like, well, they're using textures
from the source engine.
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing. He said, Gabe Newell basically was like, I want you to come here and build this on the source engine.
Yeah.
Because they had their own engine, their own proprietary engine, I believe, that they had built it on.
But I think it's using like Half-Life textures even.
Yeah, no, it is literally
Like, straight
using
up.
Half-Life textures.
Yeah.
And then later on, I believe they started using some Half-Life 2 textures, borrowing from like episode 1 and stuff like that.
So like, it really is like, okay, we basically have a cool puzzle game that we're just putting like the Half-Life skin on.
Yeah.
I can understand why someone who's like, yeah, I'm the lead writer on Half-Life, and I don't like that they're just kind of taking my thing and just like draping it over this game that has nothing to do with the universe we're building.
Yeah, because there's like no reference to any sort of a portal gun in the Half-Life 1 and 2. There's no reference to aperture sciences or anything like that. You know what I mean? At any point, I mean, or there may be. It may be something that's just on a poster or something. I believe. I don't think so though. I don't believe so because it makes it. This game kind of sets it out to be Aperture is a competitor of Black Mesa. You know what I mean? But what was kind of cool from seeing some of like the early builds and like the beta videos and the videos that they showed at some of like the early like tech demos and stuff like that. It was cool to see that they really did kind of build the entire game and then go, okay, what do we do with this though? Like they had all the puzzles, they had the mechanics, it was all cool, and they were like, okay, well, like, what is this game though? Like, we're here now, but what the fuck are we doing, guys? And then it seems like through just putting up posters and the occasional different skins, they were like, here's the story.
Yeah, pretty much. So, eventually it was all finished. The game saw release on PC, the 360, PS3. There's been an Android version.
Yeah.
There's a Switch port. You can play it pretty much anywhere. It's often on sale for like $2.
Yeah, it's anywhere from like $2 to free.
Yeah.
Like, most of the time.
And so, yeah, basically the story is you are a test subject at Aperture Sciences.
I don't know. Aperture Science. That sounds better. Aperture Science, just like, It
does sound better.
Sciences doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right, but I almost wonder if it is right.
I think it's science.
Listen, you wake up in a little chamber.
And you go, whoop.
There's a little like a Latin inspired version of the fucking Still Alive song, which I knew the song before I even played the game.
Yes.
I know. We'll get into the writing. It's like, basically it seems like the test is going a little weird.
Because right away there's like an error at the beginning, or like immediately like switches to Spanish as they're like trying to tell you like the safety precautions you need to take. It switches to Spanish, and you're like, oh, cool, and then it flips back.
Something strange is going on. So
something strange.
You're going through this test, and there's a sentient AI called GLaDOS.
GLaDOS.
GLaDOS?
GLaDOS.
I never heard anyone say it.
Yeah, it's GLaDOS. It's GLaDOS.
Oh. Are you sure?
I'm 100% on that.
Where do they say it?
I don't know. I'm 100% it's GLaDOS, so. I'm sure it's maybe in the subtitles. I'm pretty confident. I had subtitles on for most of the game.
I mean, where do they confirm the pronunciation?
Oh, I don't know. It's not GLaDOS.
I thought it was.
It's not GLaDOS.
I thought that was like the joke.
No, what's the joke?
The joke is that it's GLaDOS spelt with DOS, and like a computer nerd would make a bad joke.
Then it'll be GLaDOS.
Well, I thought it was like intentionally mispronounced.
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
I don't think so.
All right. Here's an opportunity for you to tell us if we're fucking wrong or not.
I'm pretty confident it's GLaDOS, though.
GLaDOS sounds like they're making like the bargain bin version of God of War.
Yeah, like Kratos. I was literally thinking.
He's like a gladiator.
Don't you get it? He's like a gladiator. GLaDOS.
GLaDOS to see ya. So the AI has a female voice. I'm going to call her she.
Yeah, go for it.
And
she certainly nags at you plenty.
God. Yeah, no, I get it. I also hate my wife.
That old bitch.
God, there's one thing guys can agree on. It's hating their wives.
Hating the women they chose to spend the rest of their lives with. Sorry, I could tell you were gonna say something and decided not to.
No, I thought it'd be funny to just stare off and
just to
drink,
sip. Okay.
but I started to laugh. You gotta go through these series of test chambers, but it seems like it goes from, well, there's like a real shift in the personality of the AI as you go through.
Yes.
And
Well, the personality starts to come out pretty quickly. At first,
That's fair,
at first
yeah.
you can't quite read that it's
totally
is an
sterile
AI.
at first.
It is just kind of like, welcome to the testing chamber, participant. You know what I mean? And it's just like, begin testing. And it makes like kind of like an attempt at a joke. You know what I mean? But it's like, that just feels like talk to text. You know what I mean? Or speech to, what is it? Speech to text to speech? Yeah.
TTS.
TTS, baby. It just feels like that. And then slowly, you're right, it does kind of start. You're like, oh, okay. She's got a little bit of an attitude, or she's a little funny. You know what I mean? She's kind of trying to, I don't know. Make jokes.
And it's very incremental. Like you learn about how to, use the puzzle cubes and buttons and how to go into a portal eventually, and then how to make portals.
Yeah, you're given one portal because there's an orange and blue portal. Obviously, you got to make two portals to go somewhere, and so you're given. I mean, you it's fucking portal. You know what's going on.
Well, if anyone doesn't know, you go in one portal, and you come out the other portal.
It's wild. But so you have two portals, and they just give you one portal, where the other portal location is a fixed location, or it moves, but like two set locations. You know what I mean? Like, I believe when you finally get the second gun, it's like on a platform rotating, shooting the portals at different sections. You know what I mean? So it does very slowly introduce you to all the mechanics in a way that doesn't feel like, it obviously feels like a tutorial, but it's like, okay, I'm kind of learning.
Yeah, it's incremental. You learn what you use what you learned in the previous puzzle and the next puzzle. And, as you go on, you do start to kind of get the impression that something's a little off.
Yeah, because there's a couple moments where, again, there'll be either like the static, or she'll cut out, or there's I think it's like the fourth or fifth test chamber. She says something along the lines of, for this next, like, part of the test in this next chamber, we will not be recording any of your progress.
Yeah.
And then he finished, and she was like, that was a lie. We're not going to lie to you anymore, though, starting 3.
That was a lie.
Yeah, that was a lie.
There's a little auto-tune thing going on there.
And
Maybe I'll do that to our mics for this entire thing.
the entire episode. But will this like auto-tune the news? Do you remember that old?
Oh, yeah.
But and then she goes like, we will stop lying in 3, 2. You know what I mean? And it goes out, and it's like, oh, okay.
You also kind of see at points, you can kind of see a little bit like there's like maybe like a crack in the wall, and you can kind of like see there's like
there's like a panel open a little bit, and you can like peek back. You can
look in the back rooms a little bit, and you're like, wait a minute, it looks like somebody was like living here, and they're like trying to say something to you.
Yeah, there's like tally marks, like you're a prisoner. You know what I mean? Marking how many days they've been back there. I counted them. I think it's 90 days that they've been back there, or something like that. There's the same message repeated over and over again, which, if you were alive during this time and on the internet, you heard the cake is a lie quite a bit.
And so personally, I was like a huge cake head. I love eating it. I love the band cake. And also, like, I know that sometimes people call, like, well, in recent years, like a fat butt is also referred to as like cakes. I used to just call that a giant ass. I used to be like, oh, that person's got a huge ass, or like, oh, their ass is fucking gigantic.
I go, wow,
like,
that's a great ass.
I used to do that.
Al Pacino from Heat.
I would also sometimes, if I, of course, with consent, okay, please don't get on me. Jesus Christ, every episode.
Every episode.
I don't know if you ever watched Face Off, but there's the scene where Nicolas Cage is in the choir and he goes, as he grabs the big ass in front of him. I would often pull that move. So I'm just saying I'm a cake maniac. And so when I heard the cake
you're
is
a cake man.
Yeah, when I heard cake boss. When I heard that cake is a lie, I was going, cake? No. No. I go, cake is life.
Cake's maybe the only true thing in this world.
Yeah. And then I played Portal, and I was like, oh, I get it now. They weren't talking about it the way I thought. So I was told. I mean, that's just a total tangent. But I mean, it
was a tough time for you.
Yeah.
It was hard for you to be on the internet. Yeah. And as we all know, you're chronically online. So,
and when people say the cake is a lie, I was like, is that a typo? Because I used to say, like, cake is life. Probably
I see
Ball
what
is
you're saying.
Life.
Yeah,
You know what I
Ball is,
mean?
Matt Ball is Life Hall. That's your
Yeah.
that's what you go by when you're on the court.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been on the court since the knee thing, but
It's been a minute
Yeah.
since you went Tom Segura.
yeah. I could go off on him too. I feel like it went to his head. I feel like anyway.
Yeah.
Did you watch 69 Minutes?
No.
Yeah. You aware of it?
Yeah. Because I'm not going to pay for. I haven't paid for any of that stuff. I don't feel like. Is it pretty bad?
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty. I think I produced a better comedy web series.
Nadav, their main producer, left the show recently.
Oh wow.
He left Your Mom's House podcast productions to start his own thing. He left completely. He's been their lead producer for the bulk of it since Red Band left. Nadav took over after Red Band.
Okay. Well,
and he's part of why it's grown to the size it is.
It's pretty garbage right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't been able to watch the podcasts, any of them, lately. So
all right. Well, anyway,
it's a Danny Brown show.
And I bet Danny Brown loves Portal. He seems like he'd be like.
Oh, I'm sure he's super into Portal. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big fucking nerd. Yeah.
I know. I know. I don't like it.
I think he might.
I go rap guys.
Stay in your lane.
I do not need you to be good at rapping and video games. You can pick one.
You can't be good at.
You can't be switching lanes, being cool over here and cool over there. It's unfair.
Says the guy who plays a ton of video games and is also a rapper.
But I'm not very cool with it.
That's fair. Fair.
Yeah. Anyway. I was kind of taken by surprise by how much the game did develop into this that sort of storyline where it's oh, maybe you are a prisoner here.
Yes.
And it seems like what they do is incinerate test subjects at the end of their service.
It becomes clear. Yeah, that's where it leads. I have a couple theories here though where I may be looking into it too deeply. You know what I mean? And you get much more exposition into the story and the history and more in depth in Portal 2. Portal 2 is
Portal 2.
It's an 8-hour game versus
we'll talk about that next time.
2-hour game.
Trust me.
You know what I mean? Oh, believe me. There'll be a video on that. There will be though, for real.
And you can run and tell that, Portal boy.
Fuck, what was I saying? Oh, so my theory is kind of, because it kind of seems like it as you go through. I've got a big theory here that this was obviously once a staffed facility. So they try to burn you. You know,
they do try to incinerate you.
They try to incinerate you.
Yeah.
And that's when you finally break.
Now, she's burning you the whole time. She's throwing out zingers.
You're getting roasted, baby. Fucking like a young chicken on a spit. I don't know. That was bad.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I was going to say Kenny Rogers Roasters, but I was like, I don't think many people are going to get that reference.
You're getting roasted like a nice nut.
There you go.
A nice roasted nut.
You're getting roasted like a chestnut, baby. They try to burn you. GLaDOS tries to burn you. You can shoot your little portal guy, escape onto a little balcony that's sitting right above it. Almost like they want to watch you burn. They're like, let's watch it. Or maybe this is where they come in, where they're like, all right, let's pick up the bones or any fillings. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's dark.
Sorry.
So your theory is
okay?
It was staffed at one point.
It was staffed at one point. Obviously, that's clear. And my theory is that GLaDOS slowly but surely, kind of similar like HAL in 2001. You know what I mean? Kind of started to take control of the facility and start to become more smarter, to do things that the scientists weren't anticipating. And maybe this was initially a test site. You know what I mean? Probably very black site kind of thing, similar to Black Mesa, where because you find a slide at some point that's clearly supposed to be a presentation to the United States government to get more funding for Aperture. Pretty much right after they try to burn you, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. So it's multiple slides on a projector, and the first slide is Black Mesa, like spending so much, like it's like government funding being like they don't have any record of where the government funding goes, blah blah blah,
Right.
always going over budget, blah blah blah, all the negatives of Black Mesa, and then all the positives like Aperture, much more affordable, you know what I mean, blah blah blah, all the benefits and stuff like that, more humane or something like that is in there for one of them. I can't remember which one, and I would imagine Aperture because it's supposed to be a list of positives, but it's clear that they were like competing, and this was at one point they were actually running tests. Whether or not it was the most ethical thing, like I'm sure people still died during it.
No, I think basically military testing, as far as my research shows, super ethical. There's never,
They've never done anything.
no,
They've never psychologically destroyed a generation.
no, and there's definitely not like, you know, anything that if you looked into it would horrify you.
Would literally like make you see images when you close your eyes.
Yeah, that is not how military testing goes.
Never happened.
Nor big pharma, especially when they're
big
going
pharma.
outside of the jurisdiction of the United States. They
And
definitely don't
and the
like.
United Nations.
Yeah, they definitely don't like do any sort of like, you know, taking advantage of very poor people in third world countries and putting no, they don't do that.
People who would literally die without the medication, but may anyways. Yeah. But so they're clearly running tests on people. I'm sure it was all above board. I think GLaDOS slowly started to, you know what I mean, take control of the facility using like the turrets that you run into, you know what I mean, later on. We'll get more into we're kind of jumping around a little bit. But there's turrets, automated turrets throughout the facility, you know what I mean? There's
Like
a couple,
defense turrets.
Defense turrets, yeah. And there's a couple little things where you have to go and like dodge them or whatever, you know, avoid them or like find ways to knock them down. I think GLaDOS slowly took over the facility, but I think that the scientists were vaguely aware of it because there's so many of the different personality cores that I think they would continue to add onto her to try to fix different issues. I mean, she says she added them on herself, you know what I mean? But who knows? You know what I mean?
Right.
Really. I think that as they were realizing that it was kind of getting out of control and she was taking control, they started to change the nature of the test rooms a little bit to kind of prepare you to escape, to try to help somebody to escape. You know what I mean? I think that the test, because the tests
someone clearly was trying
to escape.
and you think that may have been former staff or former test subjects.
I would
or,
imagine or maybe a combination of the two.
Yeah.
Because maybe at a certain point they were all trapped there. You know what I mean? And then it's them trying to work together to be like, maybe we can help. You know what I mean?
And what you know, what confuses me is like, when is this? You know?
That's pretty unclear. I think that gets a little more cleared up in Portal 2, but it's been so long since I've played that.
And I also don't understand like what the time in between Portal 1 and Portal 2 is. You know, is there a big gap? Kind of seems like there would be.
That's also unclear because it seems like a big gap because Portal 1 is very clean. It seems as though things have just gone wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Portal 2 seems like the whole thing's in
shambles, more
disarray.
or less. Yeah. So it's hard to say, and it's hard to say because this is set in like quote unquote set in the Half-Life universe, what the timeline even is, if the timeline matches our timeline at all.
Right. I guess I mean like, yeah, what is the timeline in terms of in relation to the events of Half-Life 1 and 2?
Oh yeah, that's very unclear too. I'd imagine it seems to be shortly after whatever big event took place in the Half-Life 1 that led to Half-Life 2. It seems to be right after like that, like I don't even know what you'd call it at the end of Half-Life 1.
I don't know if there's a name for it.
But you know,
when
like
things go real bad.
The event horizon of Half-Life 1, you know what I mean? I feel like this takes place just after that moment. Because when you come up to the surface seems deserted. There's still the slides of them competing with Black Mesa, you know what I mean? But it seems as though there's nobody who's ever going to find you, potentially. You know, nobody's looking for you.
Right. So, all right. I mean, that's kind of similar to how I felt. Like, you know, at some point there was someone else who was aware of what was going on, but they didn't survive.
Clearly no.
And
they didn't get incinerated either, by the looks of it, because there's things past the incinerator and stuff too, where they survive,
I think you go through 19 test chambers.
There's 19, yeah.
And then you go to the incinerator. Yeah. That's when you find out, you know, even though you've been promised cake the entire time.
If you watch the end of the game, a beautiful Black Forest cake. Looks delicious. You know what I mean? There's cherries on top of there.
Who made the cake?
That's a fair question.
Hey, that's why I'm here. To ask the fair questions. You go, like you said, past the incinerator, and then I was surprised by how much the game continued past that point.
Yeah,
I mean, it's basically it's like a whole other set of obstacle courses.
yes.
And then you do eventually get to the actual physical core of the AI, and you need to go through a boss battle where you hit these different phases. You're like blowing up its different little personality cores.
Yeah, one of which is voiced by the infamous Mike Patton. Not voiced, really. It doesn't talk.
Yeah. You pointed this out. You saw in the credits. And then when I looked it up, it's also the zombie noise from Left 4 Dead.
Yep, because the thing
They
is,
got a lot of mileage out of
like
that.
catch it, but then like when you listen to the voice clip, I'm like, oh, those are just zombie noise. It's just like he's the anger core.
Yeah,
and so it's just guttural, like
Yeah, it's the sound I make when I'm trying to pass.
Oh, that's the sound I make
Dookie.
when I coom.
Oh,
When I'm gooning, those are the noises I make. I go, something's gonna.
it's my reaction to that info. I go, I was asleep. Now I'm not.
I've never been more awake.
When you eventually blow up the AI, you win. You beat the game. You get to the surface. Then you get knocked out and dragged away.
Yeah, something drags your way. God
You don't really
knows
see what, right?
No, it doesn't seem like it's it. I think there's mechanical noises.
Yeah, it feels robotic.
Yeah, so it implies that there's some other robot, which could be the robot that's in Portal 2. But there's no. I don't remember there ever being any suggestion of that.
No, and I just wonder, is it just like, okay, like you beat the AI, but it, could it have extended its self to other machines, like,
outside of like
you know what I mean?
limits
Yeah,
of
like you beat the
laboratory.
core, but like who knows what else is there? Like there's a whole fucking thing.
Because it seems like even the automated turrets had their own artificial intelligence. You know what I mean? So it seems as though there's a potential that either they could all be working together as like one thing,
or it was like creating more robots, or producing. That's
right.
Vulcan's hammer type stuff. So
also all speculation because there's really no story in this game at all.
Yeah, and I think if I really did my research, maybe there's something where it's like some psychotic Half-Life or Portal fan has like put it together.
I'm telling you right now, I tried watching a handful of those to see.
Yeah.
They're all pretty much like top 10 things you would never have guessed happened and were actually going on and behind the scenes in Portal. And it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's like the thing where it's like, were all the Rugrats actually dead and Tommy's just dreaming of them? You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
The episode of Cat Dog where it turned,
My uncle was a writer on Rugrats and he confirmed that theory. You can quote that if you want to cite this video as a source for that argument.
Did he ever meet Devo?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Well, he met Mark from Devo.
Mark from Devo.
He did the Mark. I can't remember his last name.
Markiplier.
He met Markiplier too, but that was different.
That's a separate.
Because I think it was only one of the Devo guys that worked on the music.
I believe so. Yeah.
Mark. You know his name.
I don't.
You do, but you do, viewer.
Somebody out there does. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it doesn't. It seems like there's and from what I've like read and stuff, it really doesn't seem like there is any larger story to the first game.
That's fine.
You know what I mean? There's tons of speculation. There's so many theories, but
it's a good little sci-fi story, and I like how it ends on like, actually, you lost.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, hey, you won, but none of us won.
And then you do camera shot down into the basement, and you see the cake, and then
there's a candle lit on it,
and then it gets blown out.
Yeah, a little.
No, it gets snuffed. It doesn't get blown out.
It doesn't get blown out. The little pinchers come down and they put out the candle, implying, like you said, that there is still some sort of artificial intelligence at work,
and that the cake was a truth.
That's true, but again, who made the cake? Could that just be frosting spread around some crafted boxes? You know what I mean? For all we know.
So.
It just moves on from the thought.
I don't care to do any cake speculation on the show. That's not really like the avenue I want to take.
No, despite your cake tangent earlier.
I think I said enough about cake that I've know I'm really about it.
Cakes.
I don't usually wear blue jeans on this show
or boots.
I think that I not to diss you, I think sometimes it looks foolish to be wearing your socks in a video.
Yeah. Actually, you should have told me to keep my boots on. I was like, I got these.
That's my own neuroses.
Yeah. Oh, no, I hear you.
What do you think?
I don't usually
Does it feel a little disrespectful?
I don't usually see people's feet.
Oh, you see your feet. You're holding you're touching your fucking foot.
I know, I'm literally-
like you got what do you got, a little thing for your foot? Why don't you marry it?
I come on my own
Touching
feet.
your disgusting socked foot in front of me.
These are clean socks.
Well, these are clean boots.
I mean, arguable. You washed them?
Yes, I had my
You made
my
sure.
little pay pig. I had him lick them clean.
Well, they gave you money. They gave you money to lick your boots clean.
Yeah, that's how it works, bud.
I know. It'd be sick. It'd be,
I know.
it'd
It
be-
was me.
It'd be sick to get into.
Okay, you missed a spot. No, it's fine. Just go. I got to do the show.
Jordan's waiting.
You're just outside ringing the doorbell. So, I mean, that's the gist of the story. You go in, you find out that things are going awry, you realize there's a greater conspiracy, you think you're going to overcome it, and you don't.
You big don't.
Yeah, it's the robot boot stomping on the face of humanity. But the gameplay,
Oh,
I found it to be very unintuitive and frustrating almost the entire time.
did you really?
Yeah,
For
I did
real?
not like it.
No.
It never clicked with me.
Maybe it's because I mean this is probably like honestly like my 10th playthrough of Portal. You know, I played through it twice for this. It's probably the 10th time I've played through it.
It's like you're
but-
telling me, oh yeah, that's like the 10th time I smashed my dick with a hammer. No, I liked the game a lot up until a certain point, and the point that it really stopped clicking with me was when I had to do the momentum-based puzzles, where you
Okay.
need to like hit
Launch
a portal
yourself.
at like a certain velocity to like, and then when you go out, you'll like launch in a certain direction.
Yeah.
I did not ever feel like I had a grip on that entirely.
No? I felt like that was one of the more fun mechanics of the game.
I never understood it. There was one puzzle in particular. I had to look up a walkthrough, and even watching the walkthrough, I was not getting it.
Yeah.
I completely fudged it. I don't know how I fucking accomplished
Was it
it.
can you describe that level a little bit? Like what the puzzle was? You're in a room with walls, right?
You're in a room with walls.
Uh-huh. Is there any goo underneath you?
There's no goo.
No.
I
It's
I
not the
want to
one
say it
where
was
you're
like
trying to
number
go to, like,
14.
the higher levels.
No, so like one or two of them were kind of like I was like, okay, I think I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one, but it's like one where you got to like go down and over, and then you have to like then you go through a little hallway, and then you almost wind up in an identical room. You have to do it all over again.
Yeah, you go into a separate room. Where
Yeah.
you have to do another puzzle. Yeah,
Yeah.
That one probably gave me. That was the one I was trying to find earlier, and I couldn't find it.
I wanna
'cause it
say
was
it's
in
like
my notes.
14.
It
I
was
could be
right
wrong.
around 14 because you get your the orange portal at 11 or 12, and it was right after you get the orange portal. It was like maybe two after that. But there's like a whole second section of the thing where it is like basically another room. And is that the one where you have to hit the button to open the two separate doors or whatever? Or you open the door so you can get the fucking... That one gave me a lot of trouble too. I know what you're talking about. I know
It
which one
was
you're
just,
talking about.
and then when I had to do that for multiple puzzles, I was really thrown off. And every time I got it, I was like, huh, okay. And then the room that like almost made me quit, and I couldn't quit because I am a winner, and winners don't, and good girls don't. And it was the one where you have to defeat, I don't know, like fucking a dozen turrets.
Oh yeah. So fun fact about this level. So the game originally had, I think, 3 or 4 different endings that they workshopped that they had playtesters go through and play to. So originally the game did not have GLaDOS at all. The initial game was just you going through these puzzles and trying to escape the facility. They used like a talk-to-speech AT&T thing, you know what I mean? That they like put a couple of effects on or whatever. But there was no enemy. You were just trying to escape. But then it was like kind of, I think people felt like there was kind of like, what's the point? Like, what's driving us? You know what I mean?
You need conflict.
Exactly. So then they added GLaDOS, and then one of them was it was the same ending where you're trying to escape, except now you're chasing GLaDOS from place to place, trying to kill her. But then a lot of playtesters were like, this kind of by the end, they were like, I kind of feel bad because we're just tracing down this AI that can't escape. And by the time you get to the end, it's like a very helpless thing that's like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trapped here just like you are. And it made the play testers were like, that kind of made me sad. I didn't feel good killing GLaDOS. So they inevitably settled on, okay, you've got to battle GLaDOS. Clearly.
I wonder what they thought of BioShock.
The two of the endings that they workshopped, one of them was I think it's Test Chamber 18 is the one with all the turrets. Test Chamber 18, I believe, was the original GLaDOS ending, where GLaDOS is it's that, but it's like a never-ending bullet hell, where you have all 12 of those turrets or whatever, but then she keeps sending more at you, and you have to like do certain stuff to get them to shoot her, I think, or something.
That would be intense. I enjoyed that room,
yes,
for the most part, but you have to do a thing where you like, go up and then drop down from a high place, and then launch over, and I just could not. I mean, I'll show footage. Yeah. I did it so many times and could not fucking get it.
There was one, the momentum ones.
Oh, and there's the ones where you have to like. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
You have to also like zap a portal as you're falling.
As you're flying through, yeah.
Those
That's what I was gonna say.
Were the ones I could not.
Well, this was
ever feel like I was like. I never felt like I was getting better at that. It was just like. I had to look up how to do it, first of all, because I did not understand. I didn't understand how the trajectory worked. I didn't understand where I was. It never made sense, like where I was coming out and why I would suddenly just like fly up to this place. It, like the momentum thing never clicked with me.
The momentum, because the momentum, it just carries you. Your momentum just continues in that direction.
But do I just go straight? Like if I'm coming out, do I just go like in a straight line? It doesn't seem like it.
Effectively, yeah.
Because it seemed like I would like have like an arc or something.
Well, yeah, you'd come out in a straight line, but then you'd slowly fall. You know what I mean?
It never felt like I had a real grip on, like in Mario, I know how to make precision jumps because I know like what the arc of my jump is, what my little like slowdown is, my hit.
Yes.
Like, in this game, I never felt like I understood like the parameters of movement.
I get that to a degree.
Through the...
Yes, I get that because it's hard to gauge how far you do need to drop. You know what I mean? Usually it's just like a set area you can drop to, and that kind of dictates it.
Yeah, and somehow I fucked up a million times.
Those the ones that you were talking about, because in 18 you have to do that where you have to like go up to the final turret that's like way up top, drop down from there, like shoot a portal across, drop down into that one. That'll shoot you up. Then you have to get another portal into that one. And then hope that momentum will carry you. You know what I mean?
And
those ones always gave me trouble because there was one right before that where you're above a bunch of goo and the platforms just get higher and higher. You know what I mean? And then like the exit is at the very top. What fucked me up with the momentum stuff would be the perspective shifts. Where I couldn't ever get my perspective back to like where I needed it to be to shoot that final portal in that one. And I probably just kept going, like probably 30 times before inevitably I got it.
Too.
So there's definitely, and those moments where you have to shoot the portal while airborne were definitely, I'd say 5 times easier on mouse and keyboard. Like if you were using controller for most of this, like I was, if you switched to mouse and keyboard, I found it much easier.
I think I had mouse and keyboard.
Yeah. I found it much easier to get to those spots.
I don't know now.
Using mouse and keyboard.
I really don't remember what I did.
I'd switch over to mouse and keyboard for those spots. I think I probably went like 20 times in that section not being able to hit it with my controller.
There are games where I go, time to put the controller down.
Yeah.
You know, like if I'm doing the shooting galleries and the RE4 remake.
Oh, yeah.
Mouse and keyboard for sure. For precision.
Those are so fun, but so frustrating too. Like when you just miss it. God.
I just didn't get that, and what frustrated me is that like
that's a pretty big part of it.
The last like quarter of the game, if you don't get that,
you're gonna have a bad time.
I really liked like I said that whole, I guess it's room 18 where you have all the turrets. I loved like being like let me like run out here and like fucking behind, because you just like walk into them to knock them over.
Yeah.
Or you can
pick them up and throw them, or you can put a portal underneath them.
Oh, you can pick them up.
You can pick them up if you hit B.
I don't think I ever did that.
No?
Oh, I did, because there's one where you have to pick one up.
You
I
have
think.
to, yeah.
Yeah. But I mostly just like knocked them over, or sometimes I put a portal under them and
that's
fucked
funny.
them. It's just like I liked it.
And then they do make a little. They go, woo,
yeah,
like they're like, oh.
I liked all that. The only, I guess,
do you ever
really,
make one of them shoot another one?
No.
If you make one of the turrets shoot another turret, they start going like, "Hey, look out! Like, be careful! Like, watch it!" You know, pretty much. It's very fun. I thought it was funny. Not in that. That's not the voice. They have like a, "Hey, watch it!" You know what I mean?
Yeah, they have a disturbing little robot voice.
Yeah, it's not like, "Hey, I'm walking here."
Yeah, no, it's not.
No.
Do you want to do any other voices that you got there?
No, I'm good.
Can you show me another one it's not like? No?
Don't embarrass me in front of everybody.
I'll try one. Dad, I'm walking here. Bobby Hill.
I like that you kept the voice from Bobby Hill.
Peanut, I'm walking here.
Homie, I'm walking here. Homie, I'm walking here.
Marge, it's me, Homer Simpson from season 1. From the early, it's me, Homer, from the Tracy Ullman Show sketches. I didn't quite get the voice down yet, but it's reminiscent of what I would eventually become.
We'll get there.
Boy.
What were we even saying?
The cake is a lie, boy.
That's old Homer. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It's really not. It's not bad.
That's kind of what new Homer goes for. Like a whimpering chimp. He is.
I hear you.
So
I forgot what we were.
if the game didn't have such a reliance on those momentum puzzles at the end, would have loved it a lot more.
That really,
because I liked everything else, but like that frustration of not understanding a core mechanic and never feeling like I had a puzzle where everything else was so tutorialized and so spelled out, where I was like, cool, I totally have a grip on this.
Yes.
And then when they go, now apply that knowledge, they don't even like always tell you. You gotta go,
no.
Oh, what's that thing I learned? I gotta do it. This, I never felt like there was really like a great tutorial on exactly how it worked.
No, they kind of just throw you right into it, and it's the only one that is really kind of learned by doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where the rest...
I feel like a baby. I'm like, hold my hand the whole time.
I hear you. It is definitely, it's the reason I think it is introduced late game is because it is the most difficult mechanic, I think, so it probably is supposed to give you some trouble. You know what I mean? I think it's supposed to be difficult to manage.
For sure.
But it definitely is I don't know, I've played it so much that like walking into half of these puzzles, I was just like, oh, I remember how to do this one. You know what I mean? I think on my second playthrough, I finished it in like under 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it seems like a game you could rush through pretty quickly if you know what you're doing. Also, I saw someone was able to complete the game without shooting any portals.
Jesus Christ.
People have broken this game.
I hate people. I hate speedrunners. I mean, I love and hate it. Where I watch it and I'm like, oh, fuck, that's really cool. But also, like, why are you even playing the game?
Well, I don't know.
I know, I get it. You're pushing the technological limits and you're trying to, I get it. I understand it. It's interesting to watch for sure. I just can't do it. I don't have the patience.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know. So ultimately, I liked the game.
Mechanics were dog shit. Gameplay sucked.
The
no story, but it was fine.
Story was like, okay, cool. It's like Half-Life for losers. Oh, it's Half-Life, but there's no badass scientist with a little ponytail to save me.
There's no Gordon Freeman.
Also, who are you?
You're just a test subject. You're given a name, I believe, like in the subtitles, and I believe maybe in the I saw the name referenced a couple times. It's something like Ryan or Alex. You know what I mean? It's a very basic, like vaguely androgynous name. I
think you are a lady.
You are a lady, yes, but it's like a vaguely androgynous name that they give you, a pretty standard, like generic name.
Like Denver.
Mm-hmm. Like Leaf.
Tambo.
I know someone named Tamsin.
I do too.
We might know probably the same person.
I would. It probably is. Yes, I know someone named.
You know someone named Asa. That's not a real name.
I know a bunch of people named Asa. I do.
I know
3.
I don't know any of them, but I'm aware of one. It's not a real name.
There's Asa Morris.
That's the only
There's
one I know.
Asa P that lives locally that plays music, and there's Asa who is a friend of the channel. Who's
Oh, I know two then. Yep, because I'm Asa Morris and then the friend of the channel.
Asa Pillbox or something. I can't remember his real
I can't
name.
remember. Yeah.
There's no, I mean the guy, local guy. Doesn't matter. Hey, you don't know. I'm not going to dox him just because he has a name you don't like. Now,
Almost like playing Death Stranding when you're like, that's not a real person's name.
what? Like Death Hardman?
Yeah, Die Hardman or a Deadman. Yes, but you can call me Deadman. I love that it's also Guillermo del Toro voiced by someone else. Just like Sam Lake voiced by. Rest in peace, James.
What else is there to say about Portal? I mean, it's a classic. And the thing is, it's funny. It's like this game has such a legacy.
For being like a very small game.
It's a short ass game.
Very short, very small in scope as far as like there's no big story, there's no
Basically
larger
an asset
implication.
flip.
I mean, yeah. It's similar to like Majora's Mask, you know what I mean? Being like an asset flip of like Ocarina of Time where they were like, hey, we have this other game, we already have all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, like most of the games built on the Source engine in that time were asset flips.
Yeah, it's just crazy that like Valve was able to make these like genre defining classics, produce them, finance them, develop them, whatever. It's not like Valve is not like this one singular thing. There's lots of teams
Yes.
working within Valve. I just mean like that Valve as a company could publish and help develop these games.
And now, dude, absolutely fucking fuck all for
Well, I mean,
decade.
I mean, Steam is pretty sick.
They have a class action lawsuit being brought up against them right now.
I'm in that
So-
lawsuit.
So hopefully I'll get a couple $100 back.
I'm still gonna buy a Steam Deck soon. So. Also, Steam Deck. I mean, my God. I mean, they kicked off the portable PC revolution.
Oh my god, yeah. There's
So-
so many things, so many like sidekicks and stuff like that people have now that are just like cheap knockoffs.
Totally. So I mean, it is just crazy that this game had the impact and following and adoration it does.
For such a small game, I think it really is because, like you said, it was such a game-breaking mechanic. I mean, such a groundbreaking mechanic.
Yeah.
Like nothing had ever been like that. It was so cool too for people who like. I wasn't big into puzzle games. Like you're a big puzzle game guy. You like
I am.
puzzle
I love
games
puzzle
and stuff
games.
like that. I like them. I enjoy them for sure. But it's like not my jam. Those are not my main go-to. You know what I mean? I'm not huge into mystery games most of the time either. You've gotten me way more into them in the past couple of years by introducing me to like really good games in the genres. But Portal was the first game where I was like, this is a puzzle game, but at no point was I like, this feels like a puzzle game. You're solving
No, it's like an
puzzles
action
literally.
puzzle
but-
game. It's
yeah.
funny. It's yeah.
It's very cool because it's like you kind of set the pace too. You know what I mean? There's certain moments where they kind of put a little, they make you feel like there's a little bit, but like you can decide whether you're like, okay, I'm going to kind of take my time and go through this. But I feel like I've always played it as like, gotta get out of here.
And I do like that they decided to shift it to an FPS thing because, like, as much as I enjoyed the third person, like little, the prototype basically.
Yeah.
There's something about doing the portals in first person, like walking through them. It's very immersive and putting myself in a 2007 mindset. Like thinking about like, playing Half-Life 2 for the first time, like around that time, like, it's like, man, even just, I don't know. Valve was very good. It's hard to explain.
It's fun to think like something like that may have been like, as simple as like coming from limitations of the Source engine even. Because other Source games were all first person games. You know what I mean? Like Team Fortress 2, I don't believe was on the Source engine, or it may be on the Source engine.
I don't know.
I don't believe. I know, but I know like Half-Life and Gary's mod, those are all first, where you can switch to third-person perspectives with like the free cam or whatever, you know what I mean? But those are first-person games.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something with the sword. Maybe it was just easier for them. That's what they were used to.
It could have been, but it was, I don't know.
Or it could have been a choice, because when watching the earlier builds, they really went through a lot of different iterations of what the portal looked like.
Interesting.
There was like whether it was like some of them had like a spiraling effect going around the outside.
Yeah.
Some of it was like opaque. You couldn't quite see through to the other
Like
side.
in the prototype original game, it's like an ornate door.
Yeah,
it looks like an ornate like mouth.
Yeah, it's like a dragon's mouth or something like opening up. Yeah. So it was very interesting to watch. I keep wanting to say the guy's name's like Timothy McVeigh, but it's not. It's like Tom McAvoy.
Tom McDonald.
It's like Tim McAvoy or Tim McAvoy or something like that on YouTube. It was a good video I watched. It was like a 25-minute video. If you just look up like Portal Explained, you know what I mean? It's like the top one that comes up. It's a 25-minute thing about like the development of it and stuff. Very good. He does a really good job. That's also when I tried to watch the videos and were like, top 10 things you didn't know.
I can't stand that stuff.
I hate that voice.
I gotta tell you, I know how I sound, but also, God, I fucking hate YouTube. There's so much. I go. Have you ever enjoyed anything? What are you making this for? I don't know. I'm not to say my shit's the best, but I'm a hater.
There's a funny. Somebody made a joke the other day. I can't remember who it was on which. I watched too many podcasts.
It was me.
It was Matt, because Matt's the funniest guy I know. No, they said like, and give it 10 years, and like you're gonna be watching the morning news, and they're gonna be like, today in the North Country.
They already are.
I know,
they already are.
But it's gonna be like you know what I mean?
I don't know what's happening where people are talking the way they are, but also I imagine it's got to be weird to hear me talk if you're like some 60, 75-year-old and you're like hearing me talk and you're like, that's not how we used to talk.
I don't know. But the place I work at, I interact with a lot of older people.
Yeah, and maybe it's been a while. It's just there was definitely a time where it was like, oh my God, they're like devolving the language.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I know what you mean. There's a
cadence, everything. But I mean, we're getting very off topic. All I want to say is this: you mentioned Hal, which reminds me of Hal Beardo, and I did try to show Andrew, former Hidden Machine legend of the channel,
the man, the myth, the legend.
We did do like a Half-Life Let's Play that I don't think we put out because we didn't get very far because we had like some kind of troubles. But he was very underwhelmed by the opening tram scene
of Half-Life.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I can totally see how this isn't that exciting.
But it's similar to like, I've heard him make this reference before where it's like when you're watching like the opening of, referring to HAL, 2001: A Space Odyssey, that can be very, if you're watching that in the perspective of like, I've seen Star Wars, I've seen Avengers Endgame, you're like, no, this is fine. You know what I mean? It can be kind of underwhelming and boring a little bit. But if you put yourself in that perspective,
I think it's hard to do that.
But he's the one who said that to me.
Oh, well,
he was the reason who.
All right, well, he was inconsistent, but all I'm saying is,
no. So that's why I found it strange that he wasn't able to do that.
Well,
for that,
it was just kind of eye opening for me to be like, oh, I can and since then, I've talked to a lot of other people online who are like, oh, Black Mesa is way better, like than Half-Life. I go, what?
I know. Well, that's us playing the original build of Black Mesa,
and we should go back and try it again. But all I'm trying to say is like, it is. I think it's going to only become harder and harder to explain. I know how this sounds like if you're someone who's disrespectful, I know how this sounds to you, but if you're someone with brains, thank you for listening. It's so hard to explain how groundbreaking these Valve games really were. And like how sitting on the tram in the opening of Half-Life was like going to see the craziest movie and like being in a theater experience. Like, oh my God, like look around.
It's like waiting in line for a roller coaster, like on your way into like Great Escape. The first time you're going to an amusement park.
Incredible momentum and excitement.
What the fuck?
And when this is just like, it's like, huh? I'm on the train. I'm like, what? I can't do anything?
Yeah.
Like, what? It's like, I totally get, because games have changed so much.
Yeah.
But, you know, I guess, and the other thing I'm trying to get at is like, I was still pretty impressed by Half-Life, or not Half-Life, by Portal.
Yes.
Here in 2024. I probably would have had my fucking mind blown if I played it back in 2007. I don't know why. I never even installed it. I just completely didn't play it.
Just only played Half-Life and that was it.
I did.
Which I get. Because
I played Half-Life 2.
Well, yeah. I get
which I also have not beaten.
No, what the fuck, Matt?
I play about 60% of every game.
You've got to finish them. They're good
Maybe
endings.
we will for this show.
They're good endings. Half-Life 2 it's got a great ending.
Isn't everyone frustrated that the game like ends and you're like, fuck, like,
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know. There's plenty of stuff that, has that ending.
where's Half-Life 2 episode 3?
Where's Half-Life 3?
You got Half-Life Alyx. That's good enough. I will bet that Valve has made Half-Life 3 like a dozen times. They're like, it's not good.
Yeah,
Scrap
they just
it.
have to throw it away. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done everybody thought Team Fortress was dead, and then Team Fortress 2 came out. You know what I mean? People were like, "This game's never known."
Wasn't that 50 years ago?
Didn't the game come out in like 1970?
Anyway, yeah. I guess all I'm trying to say is like, yeah, it was eye opening to see like someone come into one of these old games for the first time, and be like, no, it's all right.
Yeah.
When it was like, no,
When you played it,
this
you were-
was monumental.
Yeah.
But
That's like-
I get the perspectives change over time. You know?
That's like if I had someone play if I like gave you the first Halo game right now and was like, play this, you'd probably be like, no, okay, this is pretty good. The first time I played Halo, there's like scenes that made me go
I played Halo 1
Yeah.
for the first time like 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I was like, man, it's okay. And you know what? I stopped playing because the vehicle sucked. I thought
Well, yeah, they were
navigating
really-
the vehicle. As soon as I was like so into it, I was like, shooting felt really good.
Yeah.
It felt like a boomer shooter in the
Mm-hmm.
sense it was like, it felt very like simple, like very straight. Like
Yes.
shooting felt very straightforward. It's very console based shooting. It didn't
Yes.
feel like precision.
No, not at all.
PC
That's
shooting.
that's what they were kind of building it off of.
And I liked that because it was like seeing those games evolve. It was like combat evolved basically.
Yeah, you better believe it.
But as soon as I got to the vehicle, I couldn't fucking navigate it. And I got lost in a fucking like a compound. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I can't do this. I just quit.
So they improve upon the vehicles like tenfold in Halo 2. Not we're going off on a Halo tangent, but it's because I used to play a bunch of Halo Combat Evolved for the PC. And that's when I first got into like modding games and stuff like that. Because then there was Halo Custom Edition, which was just Halo CE, but you downloaded a modded version of it. And there's a bunch of free maps and stuff. And that's where like some of the vehicles you see in the later games were developed by modders on the first Halo game for the PC.
Oh, that's sick.
And they really improved the vehicle interface. And then they took a lot of notes from what people were doing on the mod communities and put that into Halo 2. So that was very cool to like watch happen in real time back when I was playing Vigi games.
Well,
But yeah, those games were groundbreaking. Like if I watched you play the opening of Halo and not give a shit, I would have been real disappointed. You know what I mean? I would have been devastated because that game like changed it for me. I remember
totally
playing that game
believe
for the
it.
first time being like literally being
I
like,
didn't play that game until like 2022 or something.
yeah,
I totally like I
think I played it in, like,
no one wanted to
2006.
play. No one wanted to like let me play. All my friends had Xbox. Was like, oh, multiplayer. I was like, I want to see the campaign.
Yeah.
I don't care about multiplayer. I like the campaigns. Anyway, hey, any final thoughts on this? I feel like we've said all we can.
Yeah,
and
we
then
literally
some.
said all we could say. It's a really great game. It's really worth going back to.
Even though I didn't love it,
It's a quick play.
I think you got to play it.
You have to
if
play
you love
Portal.
PC games, you love gaming. You know, I think
I feel like it's a must
worth
play.
it to play.
It's a must play for anybody who's like, I really love video games. You gotta, if you haven't played Portal, you fucking have to.
Yeah,
Same way you gotta play Half-Life.
It has the legacy it has for a reason,
100%.
and it is very enjoyable. It's very cool,
Yeah.
and I will say the writing is much better than in the second game.
Yes.
And we will get into that next time because
You'll see us
I
again.
did not. I got a thing or two to say about the writing in the second game. Right?
That's got a couple bones to pick.
Anyway, hey, here's who supports us on Patreon. I don't know where you're coming up. Thank you. If you got even $1 a month, you can help the channel grow, and it pays for things like, I don't know, like the lights and the fucking
The computer
website
Matt
and-
had to buy.
Yes, everything really. It all does something.
The games we play.
Yes, the games we play. That's a good line.
That's a,
Did you play Half-Life or Halo or whatever? Were you talking about?
Did you play any of the
Portal.
games we
Did
talked
you
about?
play Portal? Do you think it's crazy that I didn't play it until this year?
I think it's insane.
I think it's insane
I
too.
think it's insane you own
but
an orange
also,
box.
when I saw it on the orange box, I was like, okay, because straight up, I was like, there's no combat.
Girl game. No, I'm kidding.
Listen,
What's this baby game?
I used to
bullshit?
play. I used to play the hell out of I had a certain Barbie game on SNES. I'm not opposed to playing a girl game, all right. And that's back in the day when there were actual girl games.
Yes. specifically designed
yeah.
for and marketed to.
There was something about I was like, I'll get to that sometime probably.
Yeah. Well, you did. Hey, you did.
I did, but like I
You should have gotten
it
to it
is
way
funny that
beforehand.
my I was just like, it's not Half-Life. I'll tell you that much. that was me as a 19-year-old go, okay, yeah, maybe I'll play your little puzzle game.
Yeah.
Since then, you know, of course, I mean, so many of my
come
favorite
around,
games
yeah.
have no combat. You know.
Oh yeah, you've made me like games that are entirely not combat focused. You know what I mean? Not that it's something that I was like opposed to, but they wouldn't ever be my first choice.
Yeah,
You know.
totally. And I've had people do the same to me, and it's like sometimes you gotta like have someone go, no, trust me, just try.
Just give it a go. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
you go,
wouldn't have played the first.
all right.
I would have never played Alan Wake if it wasn't for Matt here. So.
Well, I wouldn't
Never
have played
would've
Alan
picked it
Wake if it wasn't for Game Pass, I think. All right, let's go. Let's go.